Oh, you're at work. Okay, okay, nice. How is it going so far? I never really did anything today. Was just kind of, oh, let me see if I can do this. Share. I was just doing some edits on some videos, trying to get a few things started or organized with my, with my videos that I have. I tend to have a lot of videos and I just can't get a chance to edit them. So that's just it. Hi, the traveler. How are you doing? Cash Poultry, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. So I have, on both here. All right. So on TT and on YT. All right. Hi. How are you doing, the traveler? Vinette, welcome, welcome, welcome. And remember to go ahead and double tap the screen as well. All right. And remember to share the live if you're able to do so. Yeah, remember to just go ahead and share the live. I'm doing good here, not the traveler. I'm doing good. I feel like I'm still on vacation. Still feel like I'm on vacation. But yeah, gonna officially start back on Monday. I said I was gonna work tomorrow. But then I'm like, no, it's the end of the week. So I'm just gonna kind of keep it as is. Yeah, so how is your day going? Hey, David, welcome. How was your day going? And Q Anash, how are you? Thank you for joining. Oh, you guys need to remember to double tap the screen, like up the live. I didn't even put how much likes I want on this thing because I still can't even figure out that part. Pin your goal so more viewers may notice it. How do I do this thing again? I should have done that from before. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Yeah, so what you guys want to talk about? You can always go ahead and put Orlando Walker, welcome, welcome. How are you doing? You can always go ahead and put your questions down as usual, and then we can talk. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I was saying just since I got back in on, I think it was like Saturday night, started driving, and that took me like 16 hours. So it wasn't a bad drive in. Yeah, but I did enjoy my little vacation. All right, Matthew, thank you so much for tuning in. How have you guys been? Oh, these persons are doing a live. Oh, I don't want to. Tech Ange, how are you? Okay, Q Anash. Are you at work, Q Anash, or you're home? The travel. Okay. Alrighty. So I say I was gonna talk a little bit about let me see if I have it pull up here. Because we always have to have the cheat sheet. Let me move this over here. I said I was gonna talk a little bit. Find that thing. Hi, Adil. How are you doing? Amalita, welcome. How are you? Okay. Just bear with me a minute. Let me just try and find this. Corinne, how are you doing? Hi Charles, how are you? Okay, better foreseeing you. Okay. All right, that not sound bad. Thank you for tuning in. All right, are you a nurse, Charles? Or how's life treating me? Life is treating me good, you know. It's not bad. Could have been worse, you know. Taking it one day at a time, but life is good. How about you? Building contractor. Okay, nice. No problem. Remember to go ahead and make sure that you follow me now, you know. Make sure you follow me. So you can see the content that I'm sharing. And you can also go on to YT and follow me over there. It is Think Nursing, one word. I do long form contents over there. And I definitely will share, you know, my trip to Florida, things like that. I will definitely be sharing over there a ton of things. All right. You listen to me all the time. Okay, nice. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that. Where are you from? Yeah. So, Spanish Town. Okay. Nice. I know Spanish Town. No Spanish Town. Royal Empress, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I remember to go ahead and double tap the screen as well. All right. So what you guys want to talk about today? How work was for you, Charles? I'll probably do this one. Yeah, so I was gonna probably talk a little bit about the NCLEX exam, just in case anyone, but I don't know how to put it on there. I totally had forgotten to add it to the title before coming on, and that was just it. Stayed home, just did spinal surgery. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. Yeah. You're not in a lot of pain. Is it like, you know, recent post-op, or you've been out of hospital? Okay, no. Okay, nice. Well, I hope you will have a, you know, a good recovery, speedy one that is, without complications and all. January, so that's 7 months ago. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hope that, you know, spinal surgery or anything to do with the back is just not my thing. You're doing physiotherapy now. Okay, okay. Do you find that it's helping? Hello, how are you doing? Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. All right. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Nice. That's the most important thing. As long as you're able to see improvement, you know, that's always a plus. That's always a plus. Can be a very it can be sometimes, you know, slow, depressing because you're hoping that you would have gone back to, you know, at least some functional level baseline. But, you know, it always takes little time. Hi, Kemar. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. How are you doing? Yeah, we'll take a little time. All right. Is it difficult to register with the new nursing board from a different state after your contract? No. So you have when you're doing that, you're doing basically endorsement. So you're basically getting your license switch over to the new state that you're going in. So it depends on the state. If it's gonna be like, you know, I think Florida is one of those states that is complicated. I think probably New York, and for sure California. Yes. So as we talk about California, I need to check on my California license because that's one license I don't want to expire. Let me put a little notation, but I do put down, like, you know, bear with me. I do put them in my phone as alarm so I don't miss out on any. Hi Marcus, how are you doing? But no, usually you still go in and you do your application to that state with your license from whichever state. So I was in Maine, and then what had happened is that I was wanting to, because Maine is a compact state. So I was able to work in like a lot of different states without, you know, getting that state's license. So when I got to Texas, you will be able to work with that license, but you have to apply for the Texas state Board of Nursing. Then I'll get a temporary, and then I'd have to switch over to getting, you know, if I wanted a compact license, then I would have to do that. But it's not difficult to do it. As I say, depending on where you're going, a lot of times the companies that you transition with, they send it to a state that is usually compact, you know, a compact state. So you'll find out that you'll have your license, and your license can still work in multiple states with it. So as I say, it's not that difficult, except for California. It's like you're starting over from scratch. You're not really doing any form of endorsement with it. At that time, I still had to send back to Jamaica to the Board of Nursing and every single thing that I did to do get my initial license here. Yes, and it took about 9 months before I get it. So that's what I'm saying, and it's expensive. So that's why I'm saying, like, my Florida license, I don't try to allow any license to, you know, become inactive, because it's always harder for you to actually renew them. So my certifications, those I try to make sure that even if I'm not using them, I try to keep them active, because it's cheaper and less headache for me to have them, you know, active than inactive. Because to get them reactivated, it's probably going to cost, depending on how long you were out of service for, it's probably going to cost your arm and a leg to get those back, you know, activated. So yeah, but it wasn't that hard. All right. And I think it's the same process, like, you know, Florida and California almost have like similar, like in terms of where you'd have to go to get your license, the information for your license to get started. You have to send back to your state, your country, your university, to get like information regarding your degree and all, and then send it to the state. Yeah, I don't know if it was because, you know, I was an international nurse, or I think probably it's just the same. Yeah. Nutrition boy. Oh, nutrition by Andrea, welcome. Nisia, welcome. All right. Yeah. So have you done your, well, I don't remember. Did you say you've done your NCLEX already, the traveler? And you were just looking to transition? Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, we're just here on TT Talking and on YT Talking as well. Yeah, just waiting for transition. Okay, yeah. How did you find the exam, the traveler? Was it something that was difficult for you or was okay? It was tricky. Exactly. Did you have like years of experience before doing the NCLEX, or were you like a new nurse going in? Because you'll find a lot of persons, especially the new grads, they will say something like, oh, the exam was easy, but it's because they don't have any bad habits, you know? So they could just go in the exam knowing that, okay, this is what they were taught and this is the only thing that they know. So a lot of times you'll hear them say, oh, the exam was easy. But when you're already seasoned into bad habits, short staff, lack of resources, and you're going to do those exams and you're expected to be doing it in a manner where, you know, it's a standard in terms of the care, then you'll realize that the exam seems a little bit harder for you. Years, but I'm from the Caribbean and this is different from the regional exams. Okay, yes. Yeah, definitely. It was totally different than that. I'm making 32 per hour in the Bahamas and I'm considering moving to Texas. Okay, nice. Rissa, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, that's not bad. But 32 per hour, depending on the year, you know, your years of your experience. Yeah, that kind of low, but you know, it depends on where you are and the dollar value. You know, a dollar is a dollar. So, but I think you'll probably get more here if you're a new nurse, I would think. Yeah. I think you'll get more here for a new nurse, but 32 US, so where you going? Oh, just kidding. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, it depends on the dollar, you know, dollar to dollar, cost of living and everything, and probably 1-to-1 with the US RN since 2013. Okay. Yeah, you probably make more over here, you know, especially with overtime and all in Texas. Because Texas, you know, there's so much competition out here with hospitals, and they have a lot of major hospitals here. So depending on where you go, you might find out there are some money hungry, you know, companies out there. So yeah, man, they will be paying more money. I have ED experience. Okay. Yeah, emergency room is what I did. That's my love. Even though I'm doing house calls now. But yeah, you'll find a lot of companies out here, major hospitals in Texas here, that will pay you for your years of service. Just make sure you have your first job offer and your resignation letter. All right. And that's it. I know. How do you think the big beautiful bill will impact the migration of nurses? I think right about now it kind of start, you know. I think with everything that is going on, I realized that there hasn't been a lot of nurses that are coming over. They've signed their contracts and all, but they're still kind of in a limbo with moving forward because I guess they're not getting any dates. Yeah, they're not getting any dates. And I think the other thing is that, you know, since COVID or after COVID, a lot of persons are not really hiring a lot of travel nurses anymore because the rate, not travel nurses, but international nurses, because the rates that they're paying, you know, for travel nursing now, you know, really that, you know, not enticing anymore. So a lot of persons are looking at the, you know, the situation and realize that if you're going to be getting this amount of money for travel nursing, it makes sense to just do a full-time job and get the benefits of the hospital plus overtime as well. You understand? So you realize that a lot of facilities are not looking for like international nurses or nurses like that. You'll have 1 or 2 travel nurses still coming through and they'll pay them. But I think that is contributing to why there is such a delay in a lot of nurses coming over. Do you think the agencies are making a ton of money off? Of course, they're making a lot of money off of international nurses, because at the time when I just moved here to the States in 2016, I was told that the company, you know, hi Adil, the company was, so for example, they were paying $29, you know, $29. They were making like roughly $60. So yeah, man, do the maths. That's what I tell you. When you get over here as an international nurse, don't come and listen to anybody. You understand? Just come and know that you're here and you already have everything sorted out by your agency. Because if you listen to, you know, the hospital staff and hear how much they're paying the companies to get you situated there, then you will start kind of move like, you know, you want to quit. And yeah, so that's why I said, just come with an open mind. You already get here. You only have 2 years to give back to the people. Them spend the 2 years. You still can do your overtime, and then after that, you're free as a bird. You can go ahead and do whatever you want to do. You understand? But they're making a lot of money. You have to just take into consideration that all of what they're doing, is it something that you could have done by yourself independently prior to, you know, moving here? Is it something that would have, you know, been done in a timely manner for you to get here at the time when you do? And take into consideration that they spend all of those lawyer fees, consultation fees, they're spending money, you know, with getting you prepared, you know, so all of those time and everything. So that's why I say, you know, when you're doing your contract, look at the fine prints, because all of these are things that they're making mention of in the contract to say if you need to pay them back $30,000 if you decide to come over here and just walk away from them. That is what the $30,000 is for. It's about time and the commitment and everything else that comes with it. Yeah, I believe the benefits if you have a large family who got free green cards. Oh, no, it's not free green cards, you know. It's not free green cards. No, you have to pay your money up front. Them never tell you no. They never tell you no. Yeah, man, you have to pay your money up front. You have to pay your money up front, everybody. So that's why I say, if you know you're going to be taking persons with you, definitely go ahead and put their names on the paper. Your husband, your wife, you know, your children. Put them on the paper. And so everybody can get filed for at the same time. But when you're going to be doing your paperwork, they're going to send you all of those information that you need to go ahead and pay, that you need to go and pay for the application for the DS-260. You're going to have to pay for everybody. So if it costs $600 per head and it's 6 person, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to get those people. You understand? But it's not free. It's not free. That's what you're going to be spending out of pocket. That's the only thing you're going to be spending money out of pocket on. Whoever you want to bring with you to the States. So you have to plan for that part. All right. So that's why I say, you know, get everybody on the paperwork. So at least when you do start paying for one, you know, you pay for everybody. And the applications tend to stick together. So everybody going for their interview together. And when it's time to leave, either you leave ahead of time or, you know, everybody leave at the same time, depending on the plans you guys have in place. Yeah, so, but yeah, the company do make a lot of money from that. But you have to just think of it that they have so many different persons that are involved in this whole process to make sure that the transition is good. And as I say, it depends on the company, because I can only speak for my company and the experience I had with them and how I look at it. You know, I know that there are certain things that I couldn't have done, or probably I would have done it and wasted a lot of money because of me not knowing. So I just look at all of those and just be positive with everything, and just try to complete the contract in a timely manner if possible, and then from there. Hi guys, remember to go ahead and double tap the screen. Okay, give the video a little thumbs up. Remember to go ahead and share as well. Okay, I see 5 persons here. If you could just share to 1 person, it doesn't have to be, you know, but just go ahead and share the video, and also go ahead and like up the live so it can actually get sent out to other persons. All right, do you think direct hire is better than staffing for salary? Yes, because a lot of times you'll realize that when you get hired directly, you'll definitely get a lot of benefits from the hospital. You'll definitely get a lot of benefits from the hospital. Sometimes you go through staffing. Sometimes, you know, they'll pay you a little bit higher, but then you might not get all the benefits because sometimes they offer their own insurance and all of those things. So definitely, if you can apply directly to the facility, the rate might sound a little bit lower or cheaper, probably by a few cents, dollars. But just look at the bigger picture when it comes onto the health insurance. And you'll always hear me talk about it. Health insurance, even if if you're not a sick person, is going to be very, very important, because you don't want it to be a case where you're going to the hospital and your bill is as big as, Mount Everest. I went into the hospital the other day and did a little workup. At least that's what I think. It was a little workup. And today I got my bill, and my bill was... It was $28,000. They never use my insurance. They never bill my insurance. But the bill was $28,860. So, yes. I went in because I, was feeling sick. So I go in there and say, okay then. And sometimes when you're healthcare professionals, that run up the bill to, yeah man, because you go into the hospital feeling like you're sick, and because you already know what you're looking for, you go ahead and say, yeah man, I'll do this. I'll do that. But anyways, it was warranted. So I went ahead and did a CT scan. The CT scan head, neck, and chest. And the emergency room visit and everything. So the $28,000, remember they did blood work as well. They did blood work, they did EKG. As I'm saying, a lot of times they do the entire textbook. So you name it, they did it. All right. So they did everything, and it turned out that I got my bill. It was $28,000. So I'm looking to find out if the insurance was... Usually when you look at it and you see the insurance is not usually billed at that time. So I was looking to see what, was billed. There, I got another bill for radiology. So because of all those CT scans and everything, I got another bill for radiology. And that one was for $775. So, thank you.
I need to fill my water bottle.
Okay. That was for $775. That not included in the $28,000, $860 that them. $28,000 for a car. Exactly. You understand? That is not included in that. And then the doctor who sees me at the time, they're with a different company. So that's why I always tell people, if you're coming to the hospital, we understand say emergency is emergency, but you have to be very, very smart here in the US, because as I say, it will take out the entire bank account. It will drain you dry. Not health insurance, but healthcare here will drain you dry in the US here. Hi, Gina Gregory, welcome. So a lot of facilities, just think of it like this. This is a shell. And the shell is the building. You pay for that. And then everything else in the shell, in the building, is paid for separately. So I did got my bill for the doctor who saw me, because the doctor is with another company. The doctor is not a part of the hospital. All right. So that doctor saw me, and that bill came to like $18.95 just to come and see me, examine me. And a lot of times we're going to you look healthy, so just listen to the lungs and listen to what you say, and then we come out of the room and put in a bunch of orders from, the list is very long. They'll put the orders in, and then you get your bill. It's $2,000. So the $18.95 is the bill for the doctor's visit. So if you're a Jamaican on here, you hear that you go to, your doctor's office, the primary care doctor, and them say $1,500 for the bill, and that's it. That's the $18.95 I'm talking about for the doctor. So the doctor is with a different company. So that's her bill to see me that day. The radiology bill is the bill for the CT scan and everything. Yes. So the $28,000 was also included, including the CT scans that they did. But the radiology department, even though it's in the hospital, it's a different company of doctors that read those, tests. So that's $775. Yeah, man, that is for the doctors. Them in a one different corner over there. So the $28,000 is for the CT scan, and I guess for me for lie down in the bed, and the blood test and the EKG, and I guess the little AC that blow down on me. Yeah, man. So when I tell you If you know that it is something that is not a dire emergency, I know a lot of times we might not know, but I'm just letting you know that, yeah, so the bills them high. You understand? So I had to call the company and let them know this is my insurance for them to go ahead and, you know, make the adjustments. So the $18.95 came down to $75. All right. Because that person's, if that doctor, the company is in network. So if I wasn't using my insurance, it would have been the $18.95. But with my insurance, it's $75. The radiology bill came down from $770 something to $22 with my insurance. That's why I tell you, it's a money making thing. So if you have money out there and you feel as though you can, you know, it's a business, but make sure, you know, just make, yeah, it's a business. It's a business. The $28,000, I don't know how much that gonna come down to as yet. So I'm still waiting because that is gonna take about 3 weeks for them to process it. So that probably gonna come down to probably like around $2,000 thereabout. Yeah, man. So that's just it. All right. Off topic, but what's the challenge with shoving snow off your vehicle before your shift? Traveler, honestly, since I've been here, I've never done that. I'm sorry. But yes, I've never done that because, as I said, when I moved to the state here and I realized I was going to a place that has snow, it was very, 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 very important for me to make sure I have a place that the car can park under. So I had to get a house that had a garage. And then it was a duplex. And then the owner for the complex came out at 5 o'clock every time it snows to plow. If it's a case where you like some persons, you know, they'll leave their car, then what happens is that they'll plow around it. So it's your responsibility to figure out how to get out. But for me, because my car is always in, I just reverse. So whatever chunks of snow is there, I just reverse, lock my garage and go. But I've never done that. But the challenge is going to be that sometimes it's just like too much snow. You understand? It's going to be too much snow. And sometimes you probably slip in the snow, especially if it rains after, you know, the snow, because that is it's a very common thing. You'll realize that snow falls and then the rain, and that is not something that I like because you have that icy, and that thick ice under, especially if it is snowing for a couple of days, that glossy ice underneath. So the rain come down, wet it, and then it just look glossy, and you go out there thinking that it's just like, you know, snow, and then by the time you look, you slip and drop. Yeah, it almost happened to me the first time I went to Walmart. Yeah, when I just moved here. You know, I don't know about snow. You understand? I only see it on TV and some little flurries I've seen before in New York. But those thick ones, we never really see it melt out and all them stuff there. So I was just like coming from Walmart, going to the car, and literally just slip on the ground. But luckily, my legs are strong. Hi, do you recommend high policy for the health plans? So honestly, you know, because when I was coming here and I never really know much about the insurance or anything regarding car insurance, you know, health insurance, and because I never wanted it to be a case where I have an insurance that is not going to cover most of the things that, you know, if I need to use it for, I chose the ones that had, you know, the one that you pay high premium and so you pay less out of pocket. And what I did was to choose the ones that, I always choose the higher package, the higher health plans. And then once I get to I understand it, once I understand it a little bit better, because you'll go in to see your doctor and all of those things, then you'll realize that you probably don't need that one. So I kind of drop one tier down. But there are certain things that were very important for me that I definitely had to keep, and so that was just it. But you know, my insurance plan for my car in terms of the premium, like things that I selected, because you have different options, I never changed any of those. I kept them for the entire time, and you know, just in case. Health plans, it depends on the company, and you look at different things that are very important to you and just make sure you stick with it. So that's it. So the high premium is the one that I always choose. So that way I spend less out of pocket when I go to see my doctor. All right. And if you're here, you know, you can follow me on TT at Thick Nursing 1, number 1. Yeah, I post over there, and on YT at Thick Nursing. So you can also follow me over there for longer form content. I'll share, you know, like little trips to like Jamaica, country life, talk about those things. Yes, you come over there and you'll hear just about everything. Stuff to kind of make you laugh as well. But mostly nursing content. All right. Talk about my day, you know, some of the cases that I see, and how some of us as relatives are mistreating our own, you know, our loved ones and all. So definitely go over there and check and leave your view on the topics that I discuss or share over there. All right. But yeah, but seem as though you're planning for that snow, though, the traveler, huh? But you know, you have some persons who do enjoy, you know, plowing that snow, though, for some strange reason. When I was in Maine, there were some Jamaicans there who fell in love with this thing, but no, it was just not my thing. It was just not my thing. It always made me feel so sad and depressed. Yeah, when it's time for the entire year. For the entire year, that was just a feeling, because the first time when I stepped off the plane in Maine, and I was at the airport, you know, it was looking so sunny outside. It was just looking bright. So me with my enough self decided to go outside. I mean, I tell us, I have to run back inside. I had to run back inside because the place was so cold. Yeah, man. The place was so cold. So I had to run back inside and be like, oh my word, what is this? You understand? So it was looking so beautiful outside, but yeah, it wasn't the kind of weather for me. So yeah, from that time I was like, no way. And that was in September. No, not September. It was in November. And then I realized after, so I went and picked up my car, like, you know, when I got there. And then in the morning at that hotel, not the hotel, but the apartment that I was at, let me tell you, said that the house was falling apart. Yeah, man. I was there, and when I opened the window and look outside, it was sunny, but my car did already frozen. Yes, it was very, very frozen that morning. So I was like, okay, this not look good. It not start out well. So that was just it. So Kia over by YT is saying, I am from Trinidad and I am about to migrate, but in my country we have a US dollar problem. Do you have any suggestions around this problem? Huh? A USD problem? Oh, as in getting enough US dollar to travel with? Kia, just go ahead and clarify that for me. And then tips on finding an apartment. So the only thing I can say is, if you know exactly where you're going to be going, there is, what's that website? You have apartment.com that you can check online. Yeah, that is one. And there is another one that you can also look at, Zillow.com. You can look at them. They have homes that, you know, Zillow, yes. You can look at that as well and see if it is, you'll find any options there. But that's the only thing I can say. And if you know anybody, then, you know. But as I say, if you're looking for anything and you do see something that you like, just let the landlord know that, especially if it looks good. If it looks good, you know, everybody do FaceTime nowadays. Everybody have camera phone. Ask them to just turn on the camera phone and, you know, try to give you a walkthrough. Make sure you look at the bathroom, because some people will paint all the tub, you know. Yeah, man, paint the tub and you stand up in the tub and you see. You see the tub melt away. Or the paint run off. You understand? Or rub off. So definitely go ahead and ask them to give you a little, you know, walkthrough of the place. And so look at the bathrooms, the carpets. Ask them to look at the washer, the dryer. Make sure those are good. What else? And then make sure you get a garage, you know, so, or covered parking. Okay, and the covered parking. I love the garage because, you know, you can warm up your car and everything, because the covered parking is still gonna, it's still going to freeze up. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Covered parking apartment option is good if available for those in states with snow. Okay, yeah. So definitely look at those. No go in person and look for yourself. No go in person. Okay, yeah. Sadly, I'm yet to get covered apartment for parking in the state I'm assigned to. Okay, have you signed like a long-term lease or a short-term lease? All right. So Kia is saying, I'm from Trinidad and I'm about to migrate, but okay. So you're having a US dollar problem. Do you have any suggestions around the problem? The only thing I can say is, what about opening your, can you open a US dollar account in your own country and then transfer the money over there and then try to see if you can probably, but wire transfer is gonna be a little bit costly. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say. Or probably you're gonna have to do, you can sign up with MoneyGram. I don't know, when you get here, I don't know, have the money in your account, sign up with MoneyGram online, and then send the money to yourself. Probably cost you extra $5, but you still will have your US dollar. Yeah. Oh, so that's one thing I want to tell you guys. All right. So if you're planning on coming here, there is, I think it's Zoom, XOOM. Yeah, there is Zoom. Go ahead and sign up with Zoom to send and receive money. You can deposit money to your own bank account in your country via Zoom, but you have to have the information for the bank in your country. Just in case you get over here before, it might be a little bit difficult. So if you're still in your country, make sure you have all of those information. That's why I say make sure you take pictures and save them in your phone and upload them and save them as a file or whatever it is. So whenever you get here and you want to sign up for those things, you can have it. So just that way, if you have things to do in your country, you can always, you know, deposit the money and send it to your bank account and do your business there. So that way, you know, you don't have to have Tom, Dick, and Harry running around trying to get the money for you from, you know, those little places, Western Union and all. So at least it's a little bit easier for you. All right. So sign up with Zoom and then also sign up with MoneyGram. So as long as the person has like a Visa card, you should be able to deposit money directly to the Visa card. So you don't have to have them be going to the bank and doing the same thing again. Going, not necessarily to the bank, but going to like, you know, Western Union, MoneyGram, it goes directly to their bank account. So use that as well. All right. But that's the only thing I can say, because, you know, Kia, that's the only thing I can say regarding the US dollar is to probably sign up with MoneyGram and send the money to yourself when you get here, you know. So yeah, but you know, I really don't know anything much about how to get the US dollar if you're from that side. All right. So the traveler says, I've not signed. Still searching for the apartment while I wait to complete transition. Okay. Okay, cool. What state are you going to? The traveler. If you feel comfortable, may I ask what state you... Oh, babe's asking. Yeah, what state you'll be going to? The VA? VA. Okay. I have a friend down that side, you know, that came up on one of the program. Probably could reach out to him and see if his number still work. That is, probably could reach out to him and see if he has any idea, you know, regarding that. And then I could probably send you that information. Joined late, but can you give any insight about North Carolina? Oh, dearest, I don't really know anything much about North Carolina like that, you know. I have no insight regarding North Carolina, babes. She can travel with the money. You're allowed to carry up to $10,000. So Vern is saying over on TT Kia, You can travel with your, up to $10,000. The thing is the US dollar I think she wanted to walk with. So that's the thing. So she's saying that there is a money problem with the US dollar. So it seems as though she can't get enough US dollar. So she's trying to find out how to get the money, the US dollar, to come over. So that's what we're trying to figure out. But I don't know how to do that except just have the money in your account and then transfer it as a MoneyGram transfer. Or she can always just go ahead and create that US dollar account, and then when she gets here, she can use that same card, especially if it's, I think it's Scotia. I don't know if you have Scotia. And then when you get here to the States, or even if it's not Scotia, but once it's a Visa card, then you should be able to just use it at one of those machines and withdraw your US dollar. Because we did that when we got here, but we had Scotia. So Bank of Nova Scotia. We were told wire transfer from local bank to US bank after she opens it. Okay. Yeah. So but it just had the wire transfer cost a little bit. So I was just saying, but that's the only other option. Like, just deposit to your account, and then when you get here, you can use your card and withdraw your money, if that's the case. Yeah. Because a lot of persons did have that kind of issue with getting, like, the amount of money that they wanted, but they had money in their bank account, so they were able to just, come to the States and then use the Bank of America and which other bank they were using. There was another bank in Florida that they were using, and just withdraw the money, and that was it. Yeah. So, okay. So how long, okay. So how far in the transition process are you, the traveler? And thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't double tap your screen as yet, remember to go ahead and double tap your screen to give the video a thumbs up and like and share. All right. And if you haven't follow me on YT, you can go ahead and follow me at Think Nursing, and on TT at Think Nursing 1. All right. Weeks away to come in. Okay, cool. Hey Marvin, how are you doing? So Nurse Yems, welcome. Can I rent an apartment without a social security or move? Get a social security first. You're gonna need a social security. You're gonna need a social security to do that, because a lot of persons are gonna want to do a little bit of a background check as well. But when you get here, if you're with the recruiting company, you're gonna get your social security number pretty soon, so you'll have enough to start the process for that. So, and then it depends on where you're going. If you don't get the card or the number, some places, like, if it's like country area, they will go ahead and say, all right, especially if you tell them, like, just let them know you're an international nurse, because that's what I did in order to get, because I never had they couldn't get the background. For some strange reason, when you're doing your background check, or when they're doing the background check, like every single time it comes up that they're having problems with it. So I always anticipate it. So that's the other thing. Make sure you have information like your copies of these things, like your, as I say, your job offer, resignation letter, have a copy of your degree and all of those things. Just have them in one little file. You understand? Because you're going to have that problem. You're going to hear that they say, oh, when you're doing the onboarding, it's taking forever before they can say, okay, you can start working. And that's what was happening for me when I moved to the state of Texas. So like I was supposed to start working on let's say the 22nd of next month. And it took me about 2 months. Every second they were like, oh, we're still doing the onboarding. So I called and I was like, okay then, what is the problem with the onboarding? And they were like, yeah, we're having problems with your background check because it's coming up as, that they're not getting any information. And when I told them I'm from like Jamaica, but I don't know if they don't see it on the paper or what. But then, it's a different company that is doing the background check. So it's not the hospital itself. So I had to call them and be like, yeah, they're having problems with my background check because I'm from Jamaica. I don't know if you guys are really, really aware of what the problem is with the company that is doing the background check. So when I told them that, they were like, okay, then, because we've been waiting on this background check. And that's how they ended up using, like, getting, go ahead and get an unofficial transcript. Get an unofficial transcript from your university, get it signed and stamped, because they're going to be able to use that. So rather than you having to now try to get an official transcript, they don't really want an official one. They just want something to prove that you graduated from a a university. So go ahead and get an unofficial transcript, or if you can get one sent to yourself, then that's a plus as well. I had that with my degree and my job offer, my resignation letter. What else? And your regular things like your social security card and all. So have those, because you're going to realize that almost every company that you go to, they're going to be like, oh yeah, we're having problems with your background check. And you just have to just tell them, yeah, I'm an international nurse. And so probably you're not going to find any information from, the US here. And even up to date, and this is what, a couple of years well in, are still having the same thing. So definitely go ahead and do that, so you can always have your processing of your applications for your different jobs, your onboarding done, in a timely manner. In New York, it's way different. Okay. Would you advise 12 months lease or month-to-month rent? Honestly, if you're coming to the States here, I would say if you can find a month-to-month rent, you go ahead and take it. Even if it means month-to-month for the first 6 months, at least, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable when you come into the place. Yeah, man. Because if it means that, even though the rent might be a little bit higher, you're not tied into something that you probably don't like. You understand? So I would say definitely go ahead and do the month-to-month. Do not sign a 12 months, because you might just go there and miserable. You understand? So I would say do the month-to-month, and then you can always do the 12 months after. Because to come out of some of these contracts, you might find out that the company, not the company, but those what you call them again, landlords, they're asking you to spend, like the contract is set up in such a way that some will say you have to pay off the entire, remainder of the months that are in the contract for the lease. Some will say you have to pay 2 months, like, rent, to go ahead and close the lease. So even though that one will probably be a little bit better, you don't want to be spending that extra $5,000 unnecessarily. So if you can find something that is month to month, then go ahead and take it. And the other thing is, if you are, and it's only if you are not able to see the place. So if your company is asking you to go ahead and find that place, they want you to make sure that you have something signed up, because some companies are good. They really don't want you to move to a state and then they're thinking that you don't have somewhere to go. So a lot of times you'll find that some companies will say, we want you to find a place from the time you're with us. So that way when you transition, they feel comfortable knowing that you're going to a apartment. While you have some that seem to just don't care. So they will tell you, like, just find somewhere and move to. So if you have the option like that, then I would say go ahead and stay in a hotel. Yes, go ahead and stay in a hotel for probably the first couple of weeks. And the thing about hotel is that if you stay there up to 30 days, so even though you might be spending, let's say you spend $90 per night, depending on where you're going. If you spend $90 per night times 30, if you spend up to 30 days or 31 days, then they're not gonna add the taxes to it. So it might come back down to almost the same as probably spending for like a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom. So if you look at it like that, then you still can spend that 1 month in a hotel. And we're not talking about like, the Econo Lodge and all them places there, because a lot of those places have bed bugs. You understand? Yes, we're not talking about those places. Find places that have 4-star, 5-star. You understand? Because a lot of those places have bed bugs. Because you have a lot of people that are like, Girl, I tell you. Yes, you have to be very careful with a lot of places you might go. You understand? Just make sure that you find something looking like a Holiday Inn, like a La Quinta Suite. You have, what else? You have the Marriott's. Find the names that make sense. You understand? Spend the time and spend the money on yourself for that 1 month. You understand? As I say, when you spend up to 30 days, then they refund you your taxes. So you end up probably spending $2,000. So if, let's just say, for 1 month you spend $2,000 just because you want to find a place to stay, at least budget for that. You understand? And then at least, but by that time, if you're in the state for, however long, and your company is not like, mandating you to find somewhere and show them the lease and everything that you sign from the time while you're with them, if that's not the case, then you can always come down here. You won't have to spend the $2,000. You won't have to spend up to $2,000, because you can come down here 3 days time. You go over to a little location, look at the place, walk through, you like it, you set up your light, you set up your water, all of those things, and you're moving like by the end of the week. So that's just it. All right, so definitely go ahead and just think about that. But as I say, you have to be careful with some of the hotels, them. You understand? Be careful with some of the hotels. The ones that you see advertised on TV all the time, stick to those ones. Of course, dear. Finish my contract in Maine before leaving. Yes, I wasn't going to be, leaving and then feeling like I'm not going to get my citizenship. Look here, mom. I've never really come up here for waste time. So finish your contract before... leaving to go anywhere. Are you going to Maine? If you're going to Maine, the hospital in Maine, there's a really nice hospital in Maine. I would recommend, if any nurse on here that is planning on moving, I would say, if they say they're sending you to Maine and they're sending you to a hospital called Eastern Maine or Northern Light, I would say go down there. Go down there. It was like the best hospital I've worked at in the States here. I'm not lie. At the time when I just moved there, yes, the place is kind of behind. Not the hospital, them up there. But in terms of, the learning experience, when you talk about the trauma activation, the code stroke, all of those things, top of the top. And in terms of COVID, even before COVID, come about, because it was at that time I realized that flu was that bad. Yeah, man, flu, because, in Jamaica or in the Caribbean, we just see flu and they say, yeah, just go home and take some, cough medicine or take some Tylenol or something. But up here, it's like a full COVID. Like everything, me have an eyewear, me have a face shield, head covering, shoe covering, gown and everything. And that was in 2016. You understand? And how the departments was set up, like outside was set up. It was set up in a way that when the patients come in, there's a big glass in front of me when we're doing a triage. You understand? And I'm like, how may I help you today? And they would tell you whatever is happening. So if them a cough, we don't necessarily need to be in a... Girl, you shouldn't have... Oh, behavioral... No, you shouldn't have rejected it. Oh, my word. Oh, my word. But definitely, yeah, man, if the patient is coughing, and a lot of people don't cover their mouth, you understand? So if the patient a cough, there's a big glass that is there that, will protect you from the patient. So that's what I was thinking, like in COVID, during COVID, I think that hospital was doing excellent. You understand? Excellent. But, yeah, it's the cleanest hospital. It's the best hospital I've ever worked at. Yeah, man, I never see no cockroach around pan no desk every day and no hospital up there or no cobweb. A lot of these places, I guess because, a lot of places are focused on money. I realize some places me go me see cobweb on the desk and all them stuff there. You understand? So that's just it. But it's the cleanest hospital. And I think it's the northern, something about the northern states around that side. The New England section. I think there's something about that as well. Because I've heard other persons talk about, how the hospitals are clean over that side. So no jobs there for my husband. That's the thing. A lot of times you will realize, you know, where you'll go and the husbands and the wife follow. A lot of time the husband them, you know, if the husband is not a nurse, a lot of time you might realize that they ain't getting a job. Or if they do get a job, it's not going to be a job that they'll probably enjoy. And that's why, you know, you have to make sure that even though, yes, we need the opportunity, make sure we're making a decision as a team, because you don't want it to be a case when you get here, the husband miserable and then the husband want to go back to Jamaica or wherever them come from. You understand? And then you break up your good family. So make sure you're having that discussion with your family about, you know, the expectation. What if you don't get a job? Or what if you don't get the job that you need? Are you able to settle for this amount of time so we can actually get into this, you know, get into this thing? Because as I say, if they come over here, and especially if you have some persons who are in corporate, you know, and them used to making them money, nobody don't want to come over here come babysit. They don't want to come over here and babysit. You understand? So you have to definitely have that conversation, because the places that you're going to be sent, a lot of times there's not going to be jobs there for the husbands if they're not a nurse, you know, and depending on their qualification. So Kia over on TT is asking, what advice would you give about credit or credit card and how to maintain good credit? Okay, so, you know, you have to be very disciplined when you come on to credit card. And when you come to America, you will realize that credit card, yeah, man, people are going to send your credit card left, right, and center. So if you're not disciplined, and if you're going to be the kind that is going to want the hype life and you want to be in the, you know, you will have the credit card because they're going to send it to you. They're going to send you. They're going to tell you that you're pre-approved for this. You just have to be very disciplined. So I just look for a credit card that is Visa, that says Visa. And I try to make sure I get, like, you know, Visa credit cards that, and it's not a lot. You understand? If I have four Visa credit card, it depends on them. You understand? Then definitely, you know, I'll keep it. If it is four or five, and they're with good company, you know, go ahead and keep it, but you don't have to use it. You can always go ahead and just make sure you use your credit card, because you're trying to build credit. And I would encourage it, like, you know, you to go ahead and start out using it, because you might just go ahead and max out on it, because you're going to feel like you want the car down there, so, and you go use it and do something, and you want to fix up your apartment and you go and use it. No. But, you know, you can have your credit card, but if you're disciplined enough, then it should work out for you, as long as you're able to make sure that you remember when to pay them. So set alarm in your phone, and remember the due dates, and don't spend what you don't have. That's all I can say on that. You understand? And as I say, in order for you to maintain or build your credit, that is one way, but it takes discipline. So if you know you're going to the supermarket, make sure you have the money to pay back on the credit card. So you just give it a few days to stay on it to show that, yes, I know if you use a credit card, and then you're going to want to pay it. So they can see that, yes, you're using it and paying it off. But that's just it. All right. I did advise my girl pass gas well loud and frighten me. I think, should I done the relationship? you mix up though. That's really random. You mix up. You asked me if you should done the relationship. No. Why you going done the relationship for? Why you going to done the relationship? This is not a relationship class, but I got to ask you, why you going to done the relationship? If somebody pass gas, that means I should have done the relationship with some of my patient them. You understand? But I still go and do, take care of them, because I love what I do. And sometimes them don't know better. You understand? But you and your girl, wife, companion, you're supposed to love each other where you can tolerate a little bit of each other. You understand? That's just what I feel. No. That was just so random. Dr. Mrs. Plummer, hi, how are you doing? Yeah. But that sounded like you watched my video. Did you watch my video? Come nah, you're not doing that, Sammy? Sammy said no. No, but seriously, like, there's certain things, there's certain, I guess, I don't know, I guess it depends if the person is gonna do it in public space, you know, and I don't know, it depends on you and the kind of person and how it is done. Let's just say, you know, that's just my take on it, you know. If you not just meet, you know, if you just start dating, then there's no class in that. So I'm not gonna say if you done the relationship, but I'm not gonna actually talk about it so she can work on it. That's just it. But to just kind of pick up yourself and say, hey, you know, you fart in front of me and that's it. Because I've seen a video, I don't know if you've seen that video where there was this couple, I think they were in a relationship for probably like 5 years heading into 6, you know, 6 years, something like that, and they were in bed and she went ahead and like, you know, fart, and she was like laughing, and then the guy went ahead and just picked up his things and was like leaving, and she was like, what are you doing? But he was actually calling off the engagement because he's never heard his mom done anything like that. And I was like just looking at it and be like, seriously, are you kidding me? Yeah, I saw it and I'm like, no, that's not worth my time. That is like 5 years or 6 years of waste. You understand? Because if it is one thing, let's say let it be free. You understand? Don't let it kill you. But, you know, if you're in a area and both of you are there and probably somebody is laughing about it, I don't see anything wrong with it. But, you know, it depends on the person. It depends on the person. But, you know, that's just it. So, Danny says, let's speed date. Nah. Yeah, you have to get to know the person. You understand? You have to get to know the person. If you know the person and if it is something that you guys would have laughed about every now and again, nothing is wrong with that. But if you're just getting to know the person and this is what they're introducing to the relationship, yeah, man, I would have probably question that one day. You understand? Is either them try test you or something else, but I'd question that one. But if you're together for a while and, you know, it happens every now and again. But as I say, my patients do it all the time around me. And a lot of times I question it and, you know, just have to kind of give it a blind eye. So that's it. Oh, remember, guys, go ahead and double tap the screen. Thank you so much for tuning in. As usual, you know, I'm a nurse. And I am here chit-chatting with you. We're talking about anything related to nursing and something random here as well. And as I say, if you haven't followed me on YT, go ahead and subscribe over there. Follow me. I do share long-form content. I'll share my trip to Florida and all the other things. If you want to see and hear stories about, you know, about me growing up in Jamaica, country life, or what we call off-grid living, them kind of vibes there. Definitely go over to my YT page and sit down and laugh, and you can always come back over here and chit chat with me about it. All right. And follow me on TT at Think Nursing One. All right. I share more content over there that are shorter, so feel free to go over there. Nursey, you know that I don't do night shift anymore, Danny. I'm so sorry. Don't do night shift anymore. So my priority date is May 2023. Still no placement. Should I consider another agency with an offer? I wouldn't say that, Nurse EMs. What company are you with, if you don't mind me asking? Or you can always inbox me if you don't want to. But I want to say, you know, do that because I think it's probably just with everything that is going on. I would say there is a little bit of, you know, issues with placement. So I wouldn't be quick to jump as yet, because how long have you been with that company? Oh, you said May 2023. May 2023, 24 is 1 year. So almost 2 years. Yeah, I want to say jump because there's been a significant delay in a lot of things. Oh, Grady? Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, you know, problems with different companies with getting their staff over, because I have a friend who is with another company and she signed her contract for a while now, and it's the same thing. So it's more of, you know, a lot of places are not hiring that much, so you might realize that you have that delay in. But honestly though, you see, with that company I'm not gonna say whatever, but you know, Just ask a lot of questions and make sure you have a transitional specialist, because my friend never had one. And just make sure they're answering their their calls, their texts. You have somebody that when you get here to talk to get you to your hotel and help you with getting your credit card, your car loan going, and all of those things, because that was a problem my friend had. She never really had that much of a support from that company. So definitely start by finding out who your transitional specialist is going to be, and make sure you're working your way up to, all of those things when you get here. So it's not going to be that much of a problem when you transition. Are you getting a green card or a workers, what do you call it again? A work permit? No problem. Okay, nice. Not a problem, Dan. Not a problem. Okay. Yeah, because I know some company, I think that company, was it that company or another one, was giving out, work permit. And so a lot of persons were coming over and not realizing that they weren't getting a green card. So they were going to have to work for probably like 3 years before they were, either 3 or 5 years before they were actually able to apply for a green card. So if you are with a company and you haven't, if they're not giving you a green card, what I tell us a jump ship, you understand? Because nobody wants to come over here, especially with how things are going right about now. Nobody really want to come over here with no green card, no work permit. Want to come over here on a green card, so that way in 5 years you can go ahead and apply for citizenship. But if you get a work permit, you're going to have to be working. Husband can't work. You understand? And that is just going to be more problem. And then 5 years time, you're just going to be able to get a green card. And then you have to spend 5 more years before you can apply for citizenship. No, we don't want that. Well, we appreciate it, but, so that's just it. Thanks, Dan. Where are you from? Yeah, so that's just it. Hey, Judith, how are you doing? It's been a long time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, it's been a long time. So, so just make sure all of those things you ask your company. And I'm going to post the full video that I did regarding nursing transition on my YT page. I'm going to hopefully upload it tomorrow. So it's going to be a little bit long, but I tell you, it has a lot of information regarding nursing transition, my experience, and other persons were asking a lot of questions regarding that. So I'll definitely upload it to YT. So as I say, subscribe to my YT page. Oh, my other phone. Subscribe to my YT page and you will see the full video. I'm going to label it like nursing transition questions and answer. And as I say, you can always play it and listen to it. And things that I talk about regarding housing, car rental and all of those things. So just in case you missed the live, you can always get that information. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So if you missed the full live, I'm going to put it onto YT there. So, yeah. So Danny says, oh, you're from Trinidad. Okay, nice. Yeah. But hi Liz, welcome. But yeah, don't change your priority date, especially with don't change the company, especially with the fact that they're giving you a employment-based visa. Yeah, that's what it's called, employment-based visa. Are you going to be able to complete your contract with the hours, or is it going to be based on years? Do you know that? If it is something that you're able to do. Hours? Okay. Yeah, so that way, depending on where you go, if, some places are very busy, so you can always do your overtime and get those hours going. Yeah. So what area your husband is in, Nurse Yems? Because I know you said something regarding jobs. Was it you who said something about a job earlier? Or who? Yeah, but you know, as I say, regarding the job situation for your husband, yeah, you'll find that that is one of those. But what you can do is have him look into different online, you know, jobs, remote jobs, and see if that. Oh, he's in cybersecurity, so he should be able to get to, like, you know, some pretty decent jobs out there, remote job. Yeah, man. You just need to research some look up like remote jobs. You know, you'll find. But cybersecurity is a very big thing, so should be able to get something remote, even if it's not paying. You know, even if it's not paying you what you're looking for, but for the time, and as you go along, you're working with those company. You know, the higher you get, you'll eventually start getting more money. But at least you could try with those, and then from there. Oh, yeah. So you can look up those and see what is there in terms of remote. Do you have kids coming with? Nurse Yems. Hi, bestie. Welcome. Jermaine Scott. Welcome. Welcome. Are you still here, Judith? If no placement come, I might go back to beg for Maine. Oh, Jesus. Yes, I'm gonna probably say go and go back and beg for Maine. Go and beg for Maine. Go and ask for Maine, because you'll get the overtime in Maine. You'll get the overtime in Maine. They have a Maine. They have well, you are gonna go to their behavioral hospital. So you can go there, and cybersecurity. Yeah, you have remote jobs there, remote jobs that you can apply for. So I would say, go back and ask for the job in Maine. Did you do the interview with Maine and turn it down, or what? Or they just offer you the place and you say, no, go there? Because, sometimes if they already interview you and you tell them you don't want it, people kind of will just say, yeah, we don't bother want you, because sometimes they probably think you're... So if it's a case where the company just said that they have jobs, or you interviewed already, well, them don't even know you. So you probably could say, something had come up or whatever. And after reconsidering, you want to just take up the opportunity to work for them and see. They only can say either yes or no. You understand? They don't know you, so you don't have to feel bad if they say no. You understand? But I would have, probably asked them for that job. As I say, Maine was pretty good. Apart from the snow and all. Yeah. The hospital was good. So, yeah. Hi, Elvis. How are you? The only thing down that side, you don't really have, like, a lot of daycare center. Yeah, the daycare center and all. If you have kids, that is. So, do you have kids, Nurse EMs? If you don't have kids, then that's gonna. If you don't have kids, then that's gonna be a plus, because you're able to do a lot. But if you have kids, no kids yet. Okay, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Just run off your contract in about a year and a half, and then you should be able to. You can do whatever, but when you don't have any kids, just make it a little bit easier. A little bit easier, because especially with when you have kids, you're gonna have to think about who's gonna keep them, and then how how much they're gonna be charging you to keep those kids. And especially if there is no daycare close by, it kind of messes up a lot of things, you know. It's okay to not have a placement as yet, especially if your priority date is not current. Okay. Oh, that's a priority date for embassy for the visa. No, she already have her visa. It's just that she hasn't gotten a placement, right? What priority date we're talking about? Cause you already got a visa. Oh no. You just know what visa they're gonna be giving you. Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying, babes. I see what you're saying. So Kia on YT is saying, I have a friend who migrates with her husband and she's saying even the chicken tastes different. Everything tastes different up here. Everything tastes different. Kia is in Trinidad. Yeah, man. Everything up here different. So I would just say walk with your little seasoning, you know, walk with your seasoning. And if you, for me, it's, you know, even though the chicken and everything probably sometimes tastes a little bit different, I walk with a lot of spice from Jamaica. So that's the plus, you know, and I stick with my same old, you know, ingredients. So it kind of tastes okay. Yeah, so when you're coming up, just walk with your little spice, your little herbs, dry them, put them in a bag, put them in a bottle, you know, brown paper bags. So when you get up here, you can always have them, put them in a little container, so it make your food taste like, you know, something authentic or from your own country. So that's just what I do, you understand? So if I know that I can't find better pack curry, I walk with tons of better pack curry, so we can get my curry chicken, because the curry up here looks a little bit different. Yeah, it kind of look almost yellow. It don't give the same taste for the curry chicken, so I have to walk with my better pack. If I don't have better pack, I don't want a curry chicken to eat. And it's the same thing like with the jerk. Like some places you'll go, you'll find that they have the jerk bottle sauce, the Walker's Wood, so I'll get that. Or if you can make your own jerk sauce. When I go down, I walk with escovitch this and escovitch that, you know, that thing that they make up. Yeah, man. So the Scotch bonnet in the vinegar and what else? The onion. I have my mom, you know, put those in bottles. So when I go down, I can walk with it up. You can't put in your carry-on though. All right. I did a last minute put in my carry-on and they almost straight away. But it was a good thing. It was very, very strong. So when them open it, the entire airport smelled like Scotch bonnet. You understand? So but the lady said, okay, I'll give it to you, because I was telling her, may I beg you, please do not throw it away. But it was already fermented. It had a lot of, you know, the vinegar and everything in there, so she could see the seed, and she said, oh, this can grow and this can, you know, no insect not in him. I said, no insect not in it. You understand? There's no room for no insect in this thing. But walk with your little, you know, if you need a real peppermint, yeah, me dry my peppermint and walk with them. Come up. Rosemary, it's the same thing. You can get those, you know, but mine tastes better. You understand? So I dry them and put them in bags, and then I put them in bottles when I get here. Pimento seed, it's the same thing. Dry them from back home and bring them up. So when I'm coming up, the only thing that missing from a bag is like a jerk chicken. Yeah, KFC in there, because the KFC chicken up here don't taste good either. So yeah. Some persons EB3 dates are current and no placements yet. It will come by vary with agency. Okay. Yeah, they're taking a little bit longer with everything that's going on. What will they do with the interview if no placement? Well, even if you do the interview and you don't get placement, they're not gonna take you up. The interview is just gonna be, you know, they're gonna have to find somebody else, because it's not gonna change the priority date. I remember that priority date you're talking about. Yeah, some persons had done their interview and the company couldn't wait for them to get a priority date, because it was like, you know, it was not something that it was not something that they could have actually changed because that was something with the USCIS. So your agency can provide an employment letter and that is accepted. Yeah, my company had provided an employment letter, but it never really changed anything. It doesn't change anything with, you know, the visa, the USCIS. Yeah, that visa company, that, yeah, never really changed anything. Because at the time when I was going in and my other friends were going in, we had like everything in one. We had the acceptance letter because the company did provide us with a job offer. So even though it wasn't like the official amount of money that we'll be working, they did provide us with that, and that is what we'll take. But for some persons, they never had a date and they'd already done their interview from before, but they had to kind of just give it up. Yes, okay. So Avant does that, yeah. So that was just the situation with some persons. So they never got the date for the embassy. So their interview, you know, they had to interview for another job. Thank you so much for liking up the live. Mickey Roach, go ahead. Thank you so much. And, you know, like up the live as well. All right, double tap your screen. Let's go to 4,000 if possible. All right. But yeah, so that's just it, because, you know, the embassy or the folks that does the visa, we call it the visa screening, the visa I think it's USCIS. Yeah, don't really have anything to do with the agency, you know. So that's just it. But yeah, like with the food and everything, just make sure that when you're coming over here, you walk with a little spice and everything. If you're the kind of person that like your browning, go ahead and walk with a little bottle of browning. All right, because you might not find any on the shelf up here. Yeah, when I was in Maine, it took me, I had to drive, how much hours to find a little piece of saltfish? Saltfish with bone, that is, because they had saltfish or codfish in Walmart, but it never really tastes like saltfish. Yeah, it never tastes like saltfish. It never have no bone, and yeah, it never looked like saltfish for me. So I took probably like, it's about 3 hours almost. Oh, my husband, Mr. Bitches. I'm sorry. Yeah. So it was almost 2.5 hours to drive all the way down in the southern part of Maine to get saltfish, codfish, and that's where I find like yam and the plantain. So every month I gone down to that side, gone shop, you understand? Because that's how I could actually feel like I was eating, you know, something from home. All right. But yeah, it's difficult when you transition, especially with the food, you know, especially if you're a food person. You'll realize that the food is gonna be something that you're gonna have to adjust to the different tastes and everything. But as I say, when you go back to your own country or prior to coming up, just make sure you bring a few items that can last you. So as I say, just go ahead and start do your little, you know, dry your mint and all of those things to. Yes, there is one in so there was one in but I found that one late because I think they came like later on when it was closer to me leaving. But there was one in like that was probably like 10-15 minutes away from where I was, and they had really good plantains there and saltfish, codfish, and all of those things, browning. They had a few, like, you know, stuff that you can get in the Caribbean there. But the other one had like the saltfish or the codfish with the bone. Yeah, because me actually like the codfish with the bone or the saltfish with the bone because me love ackee and saltfish. So I'll drive all the way down there and take off all the ackee off of the shelf. Yeah, because I never even think that I would have, you know, eaten tin ackee, but here I am. Yeah, living the American life, eating tin ackee and saltfish. But yeah, it's okay, I guess. Because they always say tin ackee will poison you, but me alive. I was always scared of tin ackee, but yeah. Your date will become current soon. Just some patience. I waited 2.5 years with retrogression. I'm sorry. That was a long wait. That was a long wait. My entire, time period was, it was roughly 1.5 years from the time I applied to the time I got to the States. It was 1.5 years with the company at the time. So, yeah. Yeah, but you'll find that there are some African shops, around the place that has 1 and 2 like Caribbean, items that you will like. If you're in Texas here, you will realize there are Mexican stores that do have a lot of Caribbean items that you can also get. There's also Kroger, depending on where. You have some Kroger that has like a few Jamaican items. So I haven't had a, soup, pumpkin soup in a long time with real pumpkin. They have real pumpkin up here, but the pumpkin is not our Jamaican pumpkin. So when I use their pumpkin, the first time I used their pumpkin, I don't know if I did something wrong, but me know if I cook, and the pumpkin soup, by the time I finish the day, eat, I drink some of the soup. By the time it was time for me to put it in the fridge, it's sour. So I don't know if it was something with the pumpkin or what. So I'm going to really use back any more pumpkin again, because the pumpkin is a little bit different from, what I'm used to. So I'm just get the regular cock soup and the pumpkin soup and make it. And that was it. Babe says, I'm almost there. Yeah, just, you just have to be patient a little bit longer. As I said, there's so many things going on right now that is causing this delay, and that's just it. That's just it. So how is she doing, Kia, with her meals now? And then you have Walmart. You have Walmart that has some Jamaican items or Caribbean items. You also have Amazon, but you're going to pay a lot of money for those. You understand? You're going to pay a lot of money for those items. So, yeah. On TT, there is a lady who does sell, items. I've never shopped from her store, but she has like Caribbean items that you can get. So, yeah. Yeah. So that's about it, Julian. Yeah, so I just bring my items so I can actually have all of those things when I am here. So every time I go down and I'm coming back, I just have all of my spices that I think I'll need. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome. Blue Boy. Thank you for tuning in. Okay. Ramona, thank you so much for tuning in. All right. So Kia on YT's asking, she asked her family to pack a suitcase with seasoning, chicken and duck. Chicken and duck. No, sir. Well, after a while, the chicken is not so bad. The chicken is not so bad, but but the seasoning, I think it's more of the seasoning. As long as you can find, seasoning that you're familiar with, then you should be fine. Honestly, it's the chicken is not that bad. Yeah. The chicken is not that bad. The duck part, I don't really know much about the duck, but when I go down, as I say, I just bring my suitcase back up with seasoning, and that's it. So, but you can find, I don't know if you use Mrs. Dash. Mrs. Dash is my go-to seasoning. That's the only thing I use. You know, they have different flavors. They're basically, you know, no salt. So I use that. And as I say, you know, the browning, I like my browning for my chicken, and my curry is Better Pack. That's the one we use back home. So I bring up a lot of that. So I have that for days. I think the bottle I have says 2027. So you know me have a lot. Because when I go down and I'm shopping, I look at the expiration date. Because I don't want to bring up anything and before you know it, it expire on me. So I look at those things, and curry is most important. And like, you know, my little seasonings and tea and all. So I'll just walk with those when I'm coming back up. Other things I can find around the place. So it's not that bad. Gray one done. Vast Stewart. Remember to go ahead and double tap the live. All right. So are you guys ready for the cultural, you know, the culture shocks of America? Or are you guys looking out for that? And how you think you're going to be dealing with it? Because that is something like, you know, when I got over here, and even to date, you know, even to date, there's so many culture shocks out there that, you know, I'm still dealing with. So that's just it. But yeah, you're gonna have to come up here and twang a little bit more. So we're not foreigner yet. I'm not going to have to be a foreigner when I get over here. Meaning you're gonna have to put on a little extra accent. Yeah. I don't know how to do the accent thing, so, you know, I just go and talk. But then it's always still confusing for a lot of people. You understand? So Nurse CM says I live in the UK. Hopefully there's not too many differences. I think you can probably have a few, you know. You can have a few. Because the first time I was in, this was in Maine. You know the little thing, what you call, like, they call it Christmas tree here in America. The little thing you attach to the oxygen outlet, on the wall oxygen. What you call that in the UK? Because in Jamaica we call it pig's tail. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. But you have the oxygen outlet on the wall, and then you have this little green thing that looks like, I guess, the shape of a Christmas tree. And you put it on so you can attach the tube in for your nasal cannula. So yes, the first time I was in a code, and I was asking for the pig's tail. And they said, what am I talking about? Because everybody was like standing, like, you know, and I have to be like looking around trying to find what I was looking for. And then they were like, no, that's a Christmas tree. And I'm like, huh? Yeah. So there's so many things that you will, you know, you'll be there and you feel as though you think they know it. No, a lot of them probably don't know. You understand? The regular gown. I don't know if I call it properly. Gown? Gown? Yeah, Gown. Yes, we call it gown in Jamaica. And I guess everywhere else probably call it gown, I think. But in Maine, they call it Johnny. Yeah. You understand? Where is my Johnny? Yes. In Texas here, they call it gown. You understand? Gown is gown. But in Maine, it was called Johnny. So there are so many things that you'll realize that, you know, you're going to have to be like, okay, then where can I find... And then by the time you say something, somebody's like, huh? What you talking about? Or they probably ask you what language you're speaking. You understand? That was one of the biggest thing. Like, every time I say something, they're like, what language are you speaking? Where are you from? And I'm like, oh, my word. Sometimes you find yourself repeating yourself over and over. What is your name? Huh? What? And then the other thing is that some of them are hard of hearing. You understand? So I never normally talk this loud. But yeah, a lot of them are hard of hearing. So you find yourself shouting all the time. Yeah, you have to be shouting all the time. What is your name? Huh? What is your name? Yeah, things like that. After a while, it gets annoying. But after a while, you get accustomed to it. Hi, Puss. Welcome. We're going to get them name here. Oh, you sent a iArt. You? thank you. I really know what that IRTU means, but thank you so much for that gift. All right. Yeah, well, you'll find out that there's so many things that, you know, you might be saying and you're thinking that they understand. They probably just stand up looking like this. You understand? And then you're saying, and they're like, huh? Yeah. How are you doing? I'm good. I'm good. So that's just some of the, you know, the challenge you'll realize. And then if it's a facility that, oh, I did talk about it, you know, when you go there, sometimes, oh, let's talk about the tone. If you have a tone, you have to be careful with your tone, all right? So you have to be careful with your tone when you get there. Well, here, you have to be careful with your tone, because your tone, even though you're probably, if you sound, even if your tone is like, if you're sounding like me, then they can take it the wrong way, and you might find out that, you know, you probably not have no friend. Yeah, because you're sounding a little bit too strong. Yeah, if you're sounding too strong, you're probably not going to have no friend. If you have a fine voice and, you know, you look softy, then you probably find a few friends. You understand? And if you're the yes person, you will have friends. You understand? If them say jump and you just jump, you just do everything that them say, you will have a lot of friends. But if you're the kind of person that questions things, and I'm not saying question being rude or anything, but you want to know because you really want to know, then that is going to be a problem. You understand? Is that you're real here? You know it's plastic. Yeah, man. If you light it right about now, you just catch a fire. It's plastic. It is Expression. I got it on Amazon, and I like it. But it looks like mine, so I kind of wear it all the time. Just because it's a protective style, and, you know, yeah, keeps me a little bit more, you know, ready for the road. But, no, it's not my hair. But, yeah, you have to, you know, you have to watch your tone, because, especially when it comes on to, thank you. Especially when it comes on to sometimes you're, let's just say, you know, every black people have a tone as far as me concerned. You understand? And especially if you don't smile that much. So you have to walk. You have to always be walking around with a smile on your face. All right? So practice the smile. Practice the smile that you'll be having. All right? Practice the smile that you'll be having, because you'll be seeing a lot of smile. So if there is a mirror in front of you, like, you know, sometimes you have those glass and you'll see, you probably go in opposite direction, and you'll, or even if you're going in the same direction, you're going to realize that you'll see the brightest of smile. And as soon as them passes, so the face is straight again. You understand? So you're going to have to learn to practice your smile as well. So whenever you see people, you can give them the brightest smile, and then you go back to normal. Yeah. You will get used to it after a while, because after a while you will stop smiling. But yeah, the smiles are not always genuine. 3/4 of the smile is not genuine. So that is something you're gonna have to get used to or accustomed to. On YT here. Oh, if you're still, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, go ahead and follow me on YT at Think Nursing, and I share more stories over there. Day in the life of a nurse, conditions, are, you know, just talk about things that I see on an everyday basis and how I feel about certain things, because I love nursing, and some of the things that, you know, we as patient and as relatives are doing to our own, all of them things, they're mixed up. I put it over there. I'm trying to start up like a podcast where I talk with nurses to hear about their transition experience working in the US here, if them in Uganda, if they're in Nigeria, Trinidad. I want to hear from you guys. So I'm going to be having, you know, trying to have some nurses on the channel there talking as well. But check out my page. It's Think Nursing. It's one word. Follow me over there. And you can also follow me here on TikTok at Think Nursing 1. All right. Would you recommend big or small hospital for better learning opportunities? So depends. You understand? It depends on you. Because if you're going to be the kind of person, I would say big. And it doesn't have to be like, you know, a level 1 hospital. It doesn't have to be a level 1 hospital, because wherever you go, you'll, once you put your mind to learning, understanding the policies, the protocols, then you will do well, or you will learn. So I would say it's 50-50 for me. Because if you get the opportunity to come to the US and it's a small hospital, you just have to make use of it, you understand? And you grow as you go along in that smaller hospital. Because there's so many things you'll be able to learn. Because in that small hospital, you might find out that you might not have enough resources, but you have emergencies coming and you have your license. Well, let's start with the patient. You have the patient to take care of. You don't want any patient die on you, because that's always the goal. And you have a license that you're trying to protect. So you're going to try to, work as efficient, as safe as possible. And you're going to do everything that you can think of to save that patient's life. And that will help you to be a strong nurse. It will help you in terms of your critical thinking skills. It will help with that. Time management, it will help with that. So that's what the small hospital is going to do. You might find yourself working a little bit harder some days, but when you get to the bigger hospitals, you might be able to do so much in those bigger hospitals just because of the experience you've gained and the skills from the smaller hospital. You might not be able to see all the conditions. Well, you won't be able to see all the conditions, but, with the smaller hospitals, the conditions that you'll see are going to be a little bit limited. So if, you're planning on going to one of those major hospitals afterwards, in terms of, the conditions that you would be, hoping to have seen in those hospitals, it's not going to be there. So trying to move from a small hospital to a major hospital, you might find out that it might be a bit of a challenge, because when you go into those level 1 hospital or level 2 hospital, it is so much fast paced. And even though you're probably a little bit more fast paced, you probably wouldn't have gotten the experience that you would, or the conditions that you'd want in those smaller hospitals to deal with them in the major hospital. And then if you get the opportunity in a major hospital, then I would say, take it, because you're going to start off, it's going to start off real rough, but eventually in a couple of weeks, months, you will be able to do it. So whichever one comes, there are going to be learning opportunities with it. And depending on you, because if you're the kind of person that is slow and you ask questions, it's going to be kind of tricky, because, not all the time you will have somebody there, especially in those faster paced hospitals, who is going to be patient enough to, be telling you, 10 times how to prime a line and all of those things. So it depends on you understand? But if you find a level 2, it's fine. Level 3, whichever hospital they send you, you take the opportunity, you go there and you learn. That's all I can say on that. Thank you so much for tuning in, Stushmush, Bright Crystal, Annex 470. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to double tap the live. Can we just go up to 4,000 hearts, please, if you don't mind? All you need to do is just do something like this. It's not gonna hurt you. I promise. It's not gonna hurt you any at all. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, thank you. I feel like I am just talking. And I just want to see a little bit more encouragement, but I'll still give the information either way, because I know you guys are listening. All right. But yeah, so that's all I can say on that. It depends on where you go. But as I say, if it's even if it's a level 3 hospital, level 2 hospital, you will still have, and don't be scared about, what I just said, because you will find that as an international nurse, a lot of times they will take the time out to give you that orientation. The orientation is going to be there. You might not, always have to spend the entire 3 months, 6 months, however long the facility gives you, because depending on your level of, how they see you're doing and your comfort level, all of those things are going to play a part. But you will still have persons that will be there as your resource. So you won't feel as though they throw you out there and, you're alone. And even though I say with the smaller hospitals, you might not have the resources, most of the time you will still have your respiratory therapist, but you might not have extra staff like probably, 2 CNAs or LPNs or, all of those things. You might have an emergency room that has probably 3 nurses, but then it might be an emergency room that has only 10 beds. You probably see 8 patients per night if you are placed on a night shift. But just remember that if you have like an emergency that comes in and a patient code in, you have only 3 nurses, you still have patients that you're taking care of, and you have to do all the paperwork in terms of trying to get that patient transfer out. So it's going to still be a little bit more, and especially if it's you who is transitioning or just completed, orientation, and you have 2 new nurses with you. Even if you just completed and you're an international nurse and you're a senior nurse, you understand? So you're basically the captain of the ship. So you still have a little bit of a weight on your shoulder that you're going to have to deal with as well. So that's just it. All right. Thank you so much. You see, you guys go above and beyond. You understand? Thank you for that. All right. Bright Crystal, thank you so much for doing that. All right. So that's just it. But, wherever you get the opportunity, just go ahead and take it, and then from there. But I know a lot of times we always say we want to go to the level 2 and we want to go to the level 1. Yeah, man, them places that will still beat you, in terms of, with the patient load. And the other thing is, when you get here, I must tell you that a lot of times, they always have this thing that travel nurses are making a lot of money. Yeah, man, they always have that thing where travel nurses are making a lot of money. So you'll find out that a lot of times, and then because you might not be able to say, no, you want some time, and you don't feel as though you're ready as yet. So them still pack up the rooms with your patients. And you might realize that are you alone at work for the night? Because as soon as you take out one patient out of this room, another ambulance come in there. And so the ambulance is just coming in. And because you're the new nurse and you're trying to not necessarily impress them, but you're still trying to make them feel as though, or see you as the kind of person that is still able to manage the load, the workload. You're not going to tell them, no, me can't do this. What about the other 5 rooms that are, just rotating one patient? Because sometimes you might find out that you have other nurses on the floor and the patient in them room asleep, but your rooms are running, and you don't have anybody helping you. Them sitting down watching TikTok like me and you right now. Yeah, man. Them not looking at you. Your rooms are just coming in and the traumas are just coming in. And it's you alone and God, and probably one tech that probably like you is there. Because you'll find out that initially when you get here, that's how it's going to go. If them like you, if the person you're working with, if the team, if them like you, then they will come to you, rescue some days. And that's just a reality. You understand? It's just a reality for international nurses and new nurses. I'm going to put the new nurses in there as well. Because a lot of times the new nurses, they do come and it's the same thing. They don't know, and they don't ask questions, and they behave like, they know what they're doing. But they're dying. They're dying just like you and I as an international nurse with the patients that we're being, given. And then you have the queen of the crop, what's them call it? The ones that are veterans in the department, the ones that run the show in the department. And so they're not doing anything. They're team player. They're supposed to be what? Team lead every day. And they're not leading. They're not helping you out. You understand? They're not helping you out. And so if you're not strong enough, if you don't have the courage to go over and ask for help, you might find out that, things don't go your way all the time. So that's just it. All right. Core Sterling. Welcome. Michael Cook, welcome. Yeah, so that's just the reality of, when you get here. But take the opportunity as you get them and just learn as you go along. Don't be scared to ask questions. Everybody use Dr. Google nowadays. You have chat, so you can always ask them questions. But at the same time, you still want to open your mouth and ask the persons in front of you, because everywhere you go, the policy, the protocols are totally different. You understand? How they manage a patient in one facility is totally different from the other facility. So you want to know exactly how they do it in your facility. So you have to open your mouth and ask the question. Even though chat and Google is there to tell you that this is the general management, you still have to ask them. You understand? And some places or some persons you work with, if you don't open your mouth and ask question and orientation, even though you probably know it, because a lot of times I might do it. I might just ask the question just for asking sake, because you don't want to seem too quiet. Because then they would say that you don't seem to be hungry to learn. Yeah, man, they just think that, oh, they don't. And the other thing is they can't really tell whether or not you are getting the information because they're not asking question. So you want to just go ahead and make sure you're asking the question. Even if it's a question that you already know the answer, you know, go ahead and ask it. Just don't ask the obvious one. You understand? Don't ask the obvious one. Just ask one that, you know, they're probably going to have to think and say, okay, then. So play smart and just make sure that, you know, at the end of the day, you get a good orientation. You get a good orientation and you feel comfortable, because during that time, you'll be expressing yourself and they kind of start seeing your personality. And if they kind of like your personality, then you'll find that 1 and 2 persons will come and, you know, hang out with you. And you won't feel so lonely on your shift a lot of times. All right. Because when you get here, you know, sometimes the culture is going to make you feel so reserved. Yeah, it's not going to give you the vibe to talk, because sometimes, you know, either persons ignore you or you're saying something and them don't understand because you have an accent. And probably your English language is totally different from their English language. You understand? When you get there, they already have their little crew. Everybody have them little, you know, clique of people that them working with, and you're just there, you know. So it's gonna make you feel a little bit reserved. Oh, I don't know in your country if you are accustomed to the word gal, like, you know, hey gal. I don't know if it's something that is being disrespectful to you in your country. But I know in my country, if somebody call you gal, you probably look at them and be like, okay. You don't even look at them. You understand? Because they couldn't be addressing you. But you'll realize that here in the States, they will call you a gal. You understand? They're going to call you gal. And it's not something that is them being disrespectful. They'll call the patient gal. Hey, gal. You gal, hey gal, yeah, I have this gal with me, and me standing there looking like, who's she talking about? Until she turned to me and say, hey gal, you know. So you'll realize that you have to, you'll eventually understand, you know, that certain words don't really mean anything, you know. It don't really mean anything because the culture here is just different. All right, so things like that. You will come to realize and you'll understand, and that's just it. Oh, what I was telling the other folks the other day, is there much racism in Maine? Well, you know, you have, I think I've had a mix, a little bit here and there. You understand? Because as soon as I see them start to the R word, you know, when they start behave a certain way, I excuse myself a long time. You understand? Just go and hand them off to the charge nurse. So I don't really encounter it like that, but you have a few persons who have, you know, who have started with, and me not see them. I just continue on my merry way, because me not feel as though sick patient should be cursing. You understand? And I don't want to be the nurse that is going to be taking care of that sick patient, because even if I am there resuscitating, trying to save that patient's life, if something happens to that patient, it's going to be said that is me. You understand? So usually when I start to see them kind of acting a certain way, then I just excuse myself and just put a little documentation in the note as to why. And then you just sign your name off of the patient chart and let the charge nurse know, and hand it off to the charge nurse, hand off the patient to the charge nurse, and done away with that case. Let them assign it to somebody else. If they don't have anybody else to assign it to, then that is charge nurse problem as far as I'm concerned. But yes, it is in Maine, and it is everywhere. It's everywhere. Sometimes I might be driving and I just see the middle finger, but I'm not look. You understand? So that's just it. So you'll find it everywhere you go, but it's how you deal with it, and you know, you just don't make it be a problem. You know, you don't make it be a problem, or you don't make it be something that is obvious, because you see, once they see that you take offense to it, yeah, man, they start continue. But the thing about it is that they will eventually start call for nurse, you know, because they see that you were the one. But when they start calling for nurse, you just let them know that they don't have a nurse. The charge nurse will address them. You understand? But that's about it. Many Jamaican men live up there. Charles. Yeah, man. Well, there were a few nurses who had their husbands up there, and there were, you know, there were a few other Jamaicans that were there. But you have to remember that that's a little tourist area as well, because you have Bar Harbor, because, you know, Maine is well known for the lobster. Yeah, man, they're known for the lobster. And there was this gentleman that write a book. Yeah, so they're known for the lobster and the book and something else. Bar Harbor, yeah. Everybody go to Bar Harbor. It's a nice place to go in the summer. You have a lot of ships that come down there and dock and all, but, you know, yeah, but that's just it. So, yeah, but as I say, if you realize you're in a situation like that where you find your patient starting to, you know, become disrespectful, you always have the right to go ahead and refuse. You understand? Just like how they can say, I don't want the nurse, I don't like the nurse there, I don't want that nurse to take care of me. You have the right to say, I won't be taking care of you. You understand? So you don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to apologize and say, I'm so sorry, sir, but because you're disrespectful, I'm not going to be able to take care of you this today. No. You just kind of erase your name from the board and, you know, you respectfully walk out of the room, close the door behind you. You go and report to the charge nurse because you want to make sure that when you're documenting, it is clearly documented. And if it is something that you feel as though you need to write a report for, and I'm not the kind of person that loves to write report, but you have to know when to write a report and when you don't need to write one. You understand? So certain things, yeah, man, me report, me put it on paper. And there are certain times I feel as though I need to put a name. I definitely will put a name. You understand? You can know which one of the problems are going to be coming back to haunt you, and the ones that can be like, you know, okay, yeah, they'll come around. Because not all the times, like I will be there and patient become disrespectful. I'm not talking about the patient that are confused. Because when you're confused, I don't really see you like that. You understand? I just think that you're confused, and that's it. So whatever you say during that time period, I don't really take it as gospel. You understand? I'm just going to take care of you. But if you're in a rightful mind and you start saying things, then no, that's it. You understand? So if your blood work is showing things that you are not in your rightful mind, and if your psych evaluation come back saying that this is how you are, I'll work with that. But if you are a walkie-talkie and everything seems to be okay and you just feel as though you're ready to start cursing, then that's it for me as far as I'm concerned. But as I say, you just have to, you just have to know how to deal with those things, because you don't want to be seen as the angry nurse or the nurse that this and the nurse that does that. So as I say, it's all about respect and how you carry yourself and how you deal with it. And just make sure you document in the patient's chart, and just remove yourself completely from that patient's chart. All right. It's like the Hamptons. Yes, it is. It is like the Hamptons. But everywhere you go, you'll find a little bit of a racism there as far as I'm concerned. All right. So, yeah. All right. But thank you guys for tuning in. It's 11 o'clock. And it's bedtime. All right, it's bedtime. I don't know what time it is for you guys, but for me, it is 11 o'clock. I'm not working tomorrow. I might come back and do a live tomorrow because I'm taking an extended vacation. Yeah, taking an extended vacation. I'm going to see some patients on Monday. So, yeah, I might do a live tomorrow. And then, not in the night though, because tomorrow is going to be Sabbath evening. Yeah, so I'll probably do one in the daytime, depending on, if the sun is not too hot. When the sun is hot, you kind of feel miserable sometimes. Yeah, 12:08 in Boston. Okay, okay, nice, nice. What's the temperature like in Boston now, Bright Crystal? I did actually like Boston for, for a little bit when I was in Maine. Drove all the way to Boston at one point to this, where I don't remember where we were going. I think we were going to like a store or something like that. I don't remember. And that was the place I've had the best, like there was a place there I had the best, it was barbecue wings. Yeah. The wings, it tasted fresh. It never tasted like something that was on the fridge for, for years. Yeah, the chicken actually tasted like it was just fried. Yeah, the bone could have actually, I don't know how many persons chew on their bone, but yeah, I like my bone. Not like the breast part. I don't like the whole heap of meat on my chicken. I like my chicken bone and whatever. But anyways, when I crack the bone, I could actually, it actually feels like real chicken like chicken meat that just got fried. Yeah. It will taste like those wings that seem like it on the fridge for decades. And that was the best wings I've had. I haven't had any since anymore, like, tasting that good. But the parking down there was expensive. Just like I think the parking for the day was like $43 at the place. Yeah. Love cooking my Jamaican food at home. Yeah, but sometimes I'm tired of the food. I'm tired of my own cooking. So sometimes I'll definitely go out and just try cooking, eating. But then I regret it sometimes because by the time I come home, I feel nauseous and bloated and all them stuff there. So, sometimes you just go out for the scenery. That's all. But I cook my Jamaican food. I cook just strictly Jamaican food. Ask me anything about anything else. I'll try it just because of the fact that, you're going out with friends and you just want to try something different. But yeah, just the ambience. Let's just see. It's not necessarily for the food, because a lot of times when I go out and the food not tastes good, I'm so disappointed and I'm like, I probably should have just stayed home and probably cooked some dumpling and saltfish. Them kind of vibes there. Yeah, because I would have probably enjoyed it, because 3/4 of the food leave on the plate. You understand? So yeah, that's just it. Yeah, like honestly, like a lot of times I'll go out and I am like, okay then, why did I even do this to myself? Because you spend probably $200 and you're trying to figure out where the food is. It's not like in Jamaica you probably spend this amount of money to get a decent amount of food up by TGIF, or you go to one of those restaurants in New Kingston and you probably spend $7,000, which is roughly how much US dollar? I don't even know. And you feel like, okay, then you're full and you can box up the food. You cannot even box up the food here because the food's full of so much salt. It's too much salt in there and oil and all them stuff there. You understand? By the time you bring home a little, what do you call it again? Mozzarella. What that, it's like some macaroni with chicken and the cheese and all them stuff there. What that name? Like they have the Parmesan cheese and the macaroni, chicken. Yeah, by the time you bring that home and you start heat it up, it's a bunch of oil in there. Like the food not tastes good. So it's like it pain me every time I'm supposed to do that. But after a while I kind of get used to it now and just know that you're just going there to sit down and try drinking something, for the 1 hour that you book the place for. But you can't bring home the food. You can't do anything because the food tastes good when you get it. You bring it home because it's full of too much oil and it's full of too much salt. And yeah, so you just enjoy the drink and you look at the remainder of the food going down, going back to the owner. So, but yeah, I cook my own food. Cook it. The other day I was telling people that, the only thing I like when I go on the road is McDonald's fries, and they laugh after me because I told them that's the best fries. Like, it's hot, I'm no salt on it, and they laugh because I'm like, me can't find anything else to eat. Cannot find anything else to eat, so McDonald's fries is my go-to. So I'll have that for lunch with orange juice. And I feel good, you understand? Because if I ever touch the sandwich, mayonnaise will kill me. Can't manage. cannot. Oh, Chick-fil-A, you know, because Chick-fil-A is, I love Chick-fil-A. But yeah, them salty. But anyways, I'm telling you something, I got my bed long time. I will see you guys in another live. All right. Give me 100 more likes. Just give me 100 more likes. Send me up to 5,500 and that's it. And we're done for the night. All right, so I'll continue talking until then. So remember to just double tap. You can always do something like this with your finger on the screen. And that's what it will do. All right. But yeah, man. That's about it. Yeah, but to my new nurses, go ahead and subscribe to my page at, you know, Think Nursing on YT. And follow me on TikTok at Think Nursing 1. All right. And as usual, we'll come back and we will talk a little bit more. Hopefully, I'll get my live a little bit more exciting. Because we always see people that talk about, you know, all of these things. And the live just seems so much fun. But I don't really know what else to do on my live, unfortunately, apart from giving information and just have you guys, you know, put your questions down and me answer them and we just chat and have a vibes. Yeah, I don't really know what else to do. I don't really understand TikTok that well. So if you did send a rose, I appreciate it. I haven't, you know, missed you or anything like that. I probably didn't see it, but if you did send one or if you send anything else, I do appreciate it. Not because I didn't say your name or, you know, but yeah, I see you. All right, I see you. And if you follow me, I will follow you back. So bear with me on that as well. Girl, that's the exact thing I buy if it comes to the test. McDonald's fries and OJ no ice. Exactly. Like seriously, that is it. That is it. And sit down and eat the fries with the ketchup. And I mean that. You understand? So I think I need something wrong with me. But no. It's just I guess it's a Jamaican thing or Caribbean thing or I don't know. Our thing. All right. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Kelly, Bright, Crystal, Shells, Nicole, Daughter. All right. Sister Carlene, Nurse Yams. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next video or the live. And Kia and the others on YT here. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. And I will see you in the next video. Okay. Enjoy your day now. Yeah, go and get some rest because I have work tomorrow. All right. I'm going to want to sleep on the people them job. Thank you so much for that follow, Paul. All right. I'm going to go because if I don't do that, I will continue talking. So, peace out. How this thing go again? Lord have his mercy. I thought there was an X up here the other